Mike and Mark Mangham. So, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for inviting us.
Have you done a podcast before?
Yeah. Jeffrey Lewis?
No, Jeffrey Goodman.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Y'all grew up in the area.
Mm-hmm.
Where at?
Tell them, Mark.
South Shreveport, Southern Hills, Summer Grove area.
Yep. Where'd you go to high school?
Woodlawn.
Woodlawn?
Graduated in 1980.
Awesome. Have you ever heard of Ivy's building material?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure has it.
That's Josh's company.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's a third generation company.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
wow. Yeah. Y'all been around a while.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Josh is a DeSoto Parish guy.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Out there.
Yeah. And well, surely you've heard of Leighton here.
Probably not. I would just see Facebook.
We looked.
Somebody asked the other day. We were at church, at some church event, and they stopped me and said, "Hey, these people are asking what you do. What do I tell them?" I'm like, "I don't know."
Yeah.
Tell me when you find out.
Yeah. Well, and so just to let you guys know, and obviously we're very excited to have you. So thank you for making some time for us.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah.
Our podcast here, we started because we just love talking business with each other. He's involved in 15 to 20 businesses.
Wow.
Well, that's a lot.
Yep.
But, every time we get together, we talk about business. And so we said, well, why don't we do a podcast that talks about entrepreneurship? And as we got going, we realized it was really about all of those things specific to Shreveport-Bossier.
Yeah.
So specific to this area. Yep. And so we've had on business owners from just some incredible people that are doing awesome stuff here.
Yeah.
And that has become our focus because a lot of times, you'll see the trucks drive by and you'll see the logo, but you don't really know the story behind who these people are and the struggles they go through, and the fact that they're real people and the fact that they're doing things here.
Yeah.
And so we thought you guys would be a great fit because of your documentation of this area.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you've seen a trajectory. And I guess my first question is, how do you pull way back and see the trajectory of who we are here?
That's good because how we do that is we actually look at the past. We delve into the past and we see what direction the past has brought us to. From you look back in the day and you see the pioneers of the past, how they started out, and then you see where we're at today, and you just kind of correlate how we got to where we're at. So that's a very good question. So that's what we try to do. We try to focus on not only what was in the past, but the journey that got us here today.
And I bet in all of your documentation, you are going to come across these movers and shakers that have been so influential, even today, for who we are and where we are.
Exactly.
Right? And so there's a lot to get into.
Oh yeah.
But I'm so curious about, in your opinion.
Yes, a twin blend.
Yeah.
That's the right twin
blends, Northwest Louisiana.
Yes.
And man, I want to say y'all popped up on my radar probably 3 or 4 years ago, and I think that it might have been a post y'all made with some like downtown intersections that was like, here was the building, where it was,
I
here
remember
was.
that.
I was like, man, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And then now I live in Benton, so now to see things that are like, y'all do stuff on Airline Drive, which is all fields. This is where the drive-in movie theater used to be, and I'm like, man, this is
fascinating.
It's very fascinating, and my family grew up in North Shreveport in Oil City and Mooringsport area. That's how y'all kind of going into some of the rural areas too. It's pretty cool. So, so I wanted to have you guys on last season, but y'all were both working.
We were both working.
So now you're retired.
Now we're retired.
Yes.
And we're more busy than ever. Now, that old cliche is when you retire, you're going to be busy. We're like, nah, that's not us.
Yeah.
We have just been slammed. We've been retired both since the end of November, and it's just been boom, boom, boom.
So
boom.
what companies do y'all work for?
I worked for Nabisco, Mondelez, Nabisco Foods. I sold cookies and crackers, Oreos, and stuff like that for 38 years. So.
And I worked with Mars Wrigley, Mars Gum, Wrigley Gum, Mars Chocolate. I worked for them for 29 and a half years, all in the same area. So when we would both go in stores, it would confuse people,
Well, we're looking for good employees, so y'all,
we're retired.
Got another 30
we're
years
retired.
to go.
Right. Some of the best are the retired guys. Some of the best. But so to that point, there's a lot to talk about for the area, but we're talking to the movers and shakers today, and in your opinion, what have you seen? Can you think of a few notable folks that maybe we would have heard of, or maybe that we hadn't have heard of, who were really influential to where we are today? Like who jumps to mind?
Well, I know now the Hamill family.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, the Hamill, Charles Hamill.
Yeah, Charles Hamill.
And we met Carolyn Hamill Griffin, and her husband Dean. Wonderful people, but everybody remembers it started off Hamill's Dairy, then Hamill's Zoo, and then Hamill's Amusement Park. And that family, that family has been just so influential. Every time we make a post about Hamill's, people just love it. One of our videos, our last video we posted, somebody sent us a picture of the log ride. Video of the log ride. How many had
227,000
It had
views.
227,000 views. And I told Carolyn, I said, I hope you're reading the comments of what your family has meant for this area. And she has. And we've been able to meet people like that, just amazing families that you've heard of. Rubenstein, Selbers, we've been able to meet the family members because we'll make a post and they'll contact us like, wow, I've never seen these pictures.
One thing I like to say, like you think of Hamill's, like that couldn't be done today.
No.
There's too much liability insurance.
Yeah, exactly.
Too much cost to charge $1 for a ride. You couldn't pay employees, right?
Yep.
You said you wanted to get into entertainment. I mean, look.
I'll say this. I want to say this. I did see in East Texas someone selling all of the McDonald's playground equipment.
Really?
From the 80s.
Oh,
and I was a little traumatized because I was a bigger kid and I got stuck in the hamburger.
I can't imagine that.
But, somebody had to come pull me out. But I was thinking, man, it was like $5,000. I was like, to set this up, a McDonald's playground in my backyard.
Why didn't you do that?
I have a wife.
You have a wife. Okay.
She knows all my ideas end up halfway done. And
That's good.
But no, you think of that. It's like, it was fun. Growing up in this area in the 90s, it was kind of like our last taste of having some of these things.
Yeah,
it was.
Just couldn't happen today.
No, couldn't do it.
I mean, even back then for the Hamill family, it had to be a lot of, just a lot of expense, a lot of, just stress and stuff, but they still did it. And there's so many people affected by that, by that family. So
that's in, what's that area called? It's at the
Dixie Garden.
Dixie Gardens. Mm-hmm. So I remember seeing a post. This is crazy. You might not even know about this, but there was a outdoor live music venue somewhere over there, right off of where Clyde Fenton is.
Veterans Park.
You ever heard of Veterans Park? Mm-mm. And I remember seeing these pictures of the artists that played there. Like, these are like
Joan Jett. Yeah, Joan Jett, Billy Ray. What is this?
You asking me?
I forget what. I can't remember. It doesn't come.
But there were some big. I saw different pictures of these artists.
That was like the 70s, maybe the early 80s.
Yeah.
We never went. We were just into sports and all.
And it was kind of like almost like an island.
Yep. It had like a pond and had a stage in the middle of the pond for the acoustics, and it's set up on the hill.
It's still there, the pond, and it's real growed up, and but they had a hill set up with benches, and people could just sit and watch the concerts and stuff. It's all growed up.
Yeah, go to Facebook, search Twin Blends Veterans Park.
Yeah, we went out there with a drone,
and that's over kind of where Clyde Fenton somewhere over there, right?
Behind VA, kind of behind the VA hospital.
Yeah.
Wow.
Heard of that?
So much history.
We always heard of it. We never knew what it was, and then we come across the pictures like, wow, that was there. We got to go check it out now.
Yeah.
So
that's such a cool idea to have, like on an island.
Mm-hmm.
But back then you could have somebody that has crazy ideas.
Yeah.
And like within a month they're having a show.
Yeah.
There's no permits to be pulled. It's hey, just show up.
It was different back then.
Bring your dog. Bring your nobody's suing anybody here.
Yeah.
Wow. So how did you get into the history part? You said you grew up as sports.
Yes, we played sports.
Short version because he's got a very long version.
Well, we weren't really into history growing up, but we always liked to look at old pictures and think, man, that happened back in the day at this such and such a place, like Civil War pictures and stuff. Well, we both grew up in Southern Hills, and one day we got on the Facebook page. There was a Facebook page that says, if you grew up in Southern Hills, Shreveport. Well, we joined the page, and people were talking about things back in the day that no longer existed in
Southern Hills,
Summer Grove area. So, and that's where we grew up. So, Mike had gone to the library, LSUS library, and found some pictures at one time. Well, he posted them, and people were like, "Oh man, I remember, that's great." So we said we got to go back up to the library and find some more old pictures of Summer Grove, Southern Hills area so we can post it. Well, we got down there, and there was just thousands and thousands of old pictures, and a lot of them in negative form, and of downtown Shreveport from the 1890s, 1880s on up. And we're like, oh my gosh, that was downtown. They had a Phoenix Hotel, Washington Erie, all the
streetcars,
streetcars, and we had no idea. And so we started with LSUS's permission. We would post some of those pictures to the Southern Hills page, and people were just eating it up. And I had the idea one day. I said, let's go to the same spot that the photographer took the old picture from. We'll take a now picture and do them side by side.
That's a great idea.
No, he said that is the stupidest idea that you have ever had, because people are not going to care what it looks like now. I said, yeah, think about people who moved off or haven't gone to that side of town. They'd like to see what their old stomping ground looks like. And so he said, okay, we'll try.
Well, you can't agree with your brother.
Yeah,
okay. One time. Did it work out?
Yeah, it worked out.
Anyway, so we started doing then and now side by side. Well, I'm OCD. That's one of the big. We're mostly like 99% same personality and everything, but I'm OCD and he is not. So I said, okay, I've got to get this picture right, this now picture, because I hate seeing a now picture taken from a different angle. So you really can't compare. So I'd be lining up looking, and so you want to pick it up from here?
And so he took pictures, and I went home and I kind of overlaid them on my computer in the program, and I wanted to make sure they were exactly right. Well, I kind of faded it in and out, and all of a sudden it just kind of popped. The colors, the black and white people, it was like they were interacting. I was like, Mark, you got to see this. And this is before we saw stuff online about World War II doing the blending and stuff.
Yeah.
But I saw that and I was like, Mark, you got to see this. It's cool because it's then and now. It's like they're together, So that's kind of how we started Twin
And then
Blends.
so we started posting those, and people loved it. So we just decided to create our own Facebook page. And at first we started out, we said, well, he came up with the name Twin Blends, which I hated. I'm like, people, it sounds like a coffee company. But it stuck. And so we called ourselves Twin Blends Photography, and that's the name of our business. But then people were calling us saying, hey, do y'all do weddings? Do y'all do, senior pictures? And we're like, we don't know anything about cameras. We just, matter of fact, most of the camera we use is our cell phone camera.
We use it as a tool.
We use it as one of our tools to tell history. And so we said, we got to change the name so people will get the idea. I said, well, we kind of hunt history in Northwest Louisiana, and we go to Northwest Louisiana Archives to get most of the pictures. So we'll just say Twin Blends Northwest Louisiana History Hunter. So that's where we came up with that. And it kind of stuck.
So listen, for you, I just heard a business idea that popped out of this when they said weddings, because I'm thinking the first picture is me and my first wife, and then
I don't see that working. Red flag. But my mom and dad. My mom passed away a couple of years ago, but right before that, maybe 6 months, they had their 64th wedding, 63rd anniversary, and we had a picture of them walking down the aisle as they got married. Well, we went out to the house to eat that evening, and to their house, and we had them stand on the steps of their house. We was like, well, just do this. We'd stand here and do this, and they didn't know what we were doing. And so we took a picture, and then we got home, we blended it, and we had them. Were they
standing
beside each other? I mean, it was just holding the same way and everything, and it just meant the world to them, something like that. So
So I grew up. My high school years, middle school and high school years, were kind of the Southern Hills area, and so I spent a ton of time at South Park Mall. Now thinking back with kids, I'm like, my oldest son's 16. I'm like, my mom would just drop me off at South Park Mall, $5 to go eat at El Chico's, play at Aladdin's Castle.
That was us, Aladdin's Castle.
And I saw that y'all had done something in that movie theater that's there, and I snuck into a lot of rated R movies there. They released Beavis and Butthead when I was 15 and made it rated R.
Did they really?
So I saw Independence Day a lot. Snuck in. Independence Day.
I got you.
But yeah, South Park Mall, man, like the was it Farmore or
Farmore Drugs? Farmore Drugs.
Yeah, you rent the VHS tapes. I worked at Putt Putt Golf and Games.
That's all places we went to probably 20 years before you, 10 years.
Yeah, so that was my job in high school. So that was
good memories.
Stomping. I tell people, even my kids, we were driving to some friends in DeSoto Parish the other day, and we passed by the trailer park, selling mobile homes. Like, That was there's a go-kart track somewhere in there.
Yeah. And it's so amazing because when we're shocked when we come across these pictures. We're like, oh my gosh, we have actual pictures of this stuff. You know, you can hear about it and read about it, but when you see actual pictures from back in the day, it really. We say that that's the closest you're ever going to come to time travel. So you know, it's just you can get immersed in it. So
now I've also seen you guys do some. You talked about history like World War II stuff, right? Or World War One, Civil War. What was it? Civil War.
You're just slightly off.
I wasn't a history teacher. There was no World War II here at Shreveport-Bossier. But Civil War, tell us about that, because that's actually DeSoto Parish, right? In Mansfield?
Yeah, Mansfield and Pleasant Hill.
Y'all still go and you'll spend a day there and find artifacts.
Yeah, we go. A friend of ours, Gene Poingbuff, allowed us on to hunt the Battle of Pleasant Hill. He owns that area, property and stuff. And ain't nothing pleasant about Pleasant Hill because them hills are huge in the back.
Really? We've been back there for hours. But we have found 3-ringer Civil War bullets there right in the front where they do the reenactment. And when we went down there, Gene said, "Oh, y'all probably won't find anything in there that's been hunted to death." Well, and within 15 minutes, he found a 3-ringer bullet. And 10 minutes later, I found one. He's like, "I cannot believe after all the years have been hunting, y'all still found that right there." But we went back in the hills and all that. It was 100 degrees. We about got lost.
We did. We got turned around.
We ain't going back in the woods. So
we, for a stint, my dad was a pastor, so we moved around a lot. But for a stint, we lived in the Shongaloo, Haynesville area. And my mom would just find arrowheads all the time.
Oh, man.
And I just think of like how, because of our cell phones, how much do we miss? Like how much
not looking down.
Looking
that's
down.
it. You're right. Yeah.
That's something we want to do, go arrowhead hunting. We've never found an arrowhead. We went once, but we didn't find any. But we know people that's gone and found them, and just to find something like 5,000-year-old arrowhead, it's got to be cool.
So the deal that y'all did at the old South Park Mall with the movie, that y'all made like a short film or a documentary or something?
Yeah. What we did was, it's cool because we had it set up, and our plans were to come in and have everybody walk up and down the mall, and we were going to have a projector and show a movie
on the wall there,
on the wall.
Montgomery Ward wall.
Yeah. And they said, the people we talked to, the Summer Grove people, Lori Bennett, she was a good friend of ours. She said, "Well, y'all need to have it in a movie theater." And Mark's like, "Well,"
I was thinking, people are coming. They will probably going to like us. We were allowed in there a couple of years ago, and we of course you can walk around there now, but they let us come in and go behind the scenes and take a tour with Mark and Barry Walker. And we walked in like, man, this is something that everybody would probably like to do. So I said, let's schedule this. And we got with the Summer Grove, and they said, okay. We set it up for a weekend, and like he said, we were going to have the picture playing on the wall, because I thought, man, nobody's going to walk all the way back in the movie theater and go back there to see the movie. And so Mike convinced me. He said, let's just do it in the movie theater. I said, okay, but ain't nobody going to go back there. You can just show in a video with nobody in the
what's cool is I took the video, all the pictures. We had a lot of pictures from when it started and all the way almost to when it closed over the years, and we put music to it. And it's neat because the lights went dark, and it was 200 people there.
It filled up the place. I was shocked.
They were in line.
45 minutes before it started, people were parking in the parking lot lining up at the movie. I'm like, oh my gosh.
And in the movie theater, we got it, and the lights went dark, and all of a sudden it was a Star Wars dun da da da, and it was like a long time ago in a city far away. South Park Mall, the words, and then we started showing. It was great. People just roared when they saw that.
Yeah, and like I say, that theater hosts 220 people, and it overflowed, and we had to have some people that show it again. Yeah, and it brought back so many members, and we've had so many people say that they missed that. They were out of town and couldn't go that day, and we're like, well, maybe we need to do it again.
And our next idea is we want to get with the River Park Church to do the Hamels. Have people come out to
that was supposed to be a secret. But we want to do that because if they could show, if they could set up, like the balloon houses and stuff like that for the kids, and we could have pictures printed of everything where everything was. I think people, and just make it a fun day.
Well, we did a video of Hamels Then and Now where we walked around and said you can see, and in the grass you can see the line where the log ride went. You can still see the impression.
Well, and we had found a few pictures of Hamel's amusement park at the library. Well, one day Carolyn Hamill, Charles Hamill's daughter, contacted Carolyn Hamill Griffin. Now she contacted us. She said, well, I've got some personal pictures of like the monkeys and all. Would y'all be interested in seeing those? And we're like, where do you live? We're coming now. And we did. We went to her house. When we got there, she had a pool table set up with the folders all stacked up neatly. Cool. Had Buddy and Susie the chimp. Yeah. They had Lady Lima elephant, and they had the hippopotamus.
David P. Hippopotamus.
I think and she had different, and she allowed us to take that home. All those personal pictures, take them. I mean, she entrusted us with that. We scanned them and gave her digitized copies of all that, and we made posts, several posts on it. But she has been just the sweetest. She's one of our favorite people. Now. She is so sweet. But I tell her every time we make a post and people, tell their stories and their heartwarming, about their families, go in there. I said, I hope you're reading these comments because your family, you don't understand how much your family. And that's one thing we can do. A lot we tell people it's not about us twin blends. It's about we just take a spotlight and we shine on people like Carolyn Hamill, and people Cobb's Barbecue and stuff like that. Stuff that we can, shine the light on them and the photographers of the past. Because without these pictures, it'd just be in the books.
Words in the book.
Yeah, I went to Calvary Academy through middle school. They didn't have a high school back then, but they had Calvary night at Hamels every year at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So it was all the students and their family would go. So
see, we grew up across the street from Calvary. That Kenny Road there, that's where we grew up. So
yeah, that was my high school stomping grounds, Calvary. That's where we went to church. My dad was on staff there too. Yep, good stuff. So I don't think PETA would allow the hippopotamus. I don't think that would be allowed today. So
well, they got out. All that's like that. We
bears.
They had a couple bears that got out, and so and then I was talking to Carol. The elephant got out once, and they had to coax it in with ice cream. The bears with ice cream.
Hamels ice cream bars, and we got pictures. We made a post of them of her, the Hamels people coaxing them back in.
Yeah, and Carolyn said, "Well, we didn't have pictures, but the buffalo got out once too." And I'm like,
I didn't know they had a buffalo.
Like, Carolyn, y'all let those animals out or what?
So we, my church that I go to, we started a church about 15 years ago, and we've been in schools, meeting, setting up, and tearing down. So we just found a building and built it out within the past year, and it is on Highway 3 going towards Benton, and it's it was a Louisiana hayride.
Hayride kitchen. Hayride kitchen. I know exactly.
So if y'all find anything that has to do with that, we found some old articles and we have it posted in the lobby.
Oh yeah,
it used to be because it was a bingo hall, a dance hall, music venue.
Now we got aerials of that area where there ain't nothing but fields from Airline High School is in the sticks. So there's nothing around it, and then there's just nothing.
So I was able to. Me growing up and starting to drive, I saw the development of Uri Drive and Burt Coons. I remember going over there to play basketball, and it was you kind of went to the country. And then it's like the first thing maybe Tinseltown came in or Walmart, and then it's just like massive.
It's just amazing when we find arrows and stuff like that. Like Thurman C. Smith, we're going through his collection, and we call him the king of aerials because he's 98 years old right now, still alive. And he started back when he was young, and he's got all these aerials of downtown Shreveport and all over the cotton fields and all that. And you can see over time how things have changed. You can go from
not for the good.
Well, some of the earlier photos of downtown Shreveport aerials, you can see how beautiful the buildings and architecture was. And then over time, you start seeing parking lots, square buildings, parking lots. It's just changed so much. And we're like, that's why we're fighting for them to keep the old buildings down there that they have and refurbish them, which our friend Jason Cram is doing, and William O'Brien with Cooper's Corners. They're refurbishing these old buildings, like this old Sears building. Now it's the Lofts at 624. Standard help me out here.
Standard apartments. Standard 509.
Standard
509. I know Jim Moss redid that
Jim
building.
Moss.
That place
we met him
awesome.
A couple years ago before he sadly passed away.
He's a great guy. But that's a cool building. The Andrews building, I think. What they did with that. I love whenever they do the construction. I saw recently, y'all were out there. Was it Fox? Was Fox Mothers out there?
Wait, which one?
He saw part of the trolley tracks or something.
Oh yeah, down. You're talking about Uri Drive. Yeah. Well, we knew that somebody had messaged us last year and said, you can still see the trolley tracks on the curb,
sidewalk
at the corner of Uri and
Stratford.
And we said we didn't know that, so we went over and parked in Thrifty Liquor parking lot. Walked over there like, that's cool. Well, then somebody said, they're tearing up Uri Drive, doing some work around
the bricks.
Area.
You can see the bricks.
You can see the bricks. Well, we're driving down
You're
Stratford. I want to say Stratford. Anyway, Stratford. We turned right, and I said, "Mike, look down on the street because he's, oh yeah, look, and there's the streetcar tracks going out in the middle. We're like, we had to pull over and make videos and stuff like that.
People love streetcar tracks. They love it.
We were standing out there doing the video. Guy drove by, his truck slowed down. He said, "Hey, are those train tracks?" I go, "No, those are streetcar tracks." So that's so cool. A lot of people don't realize that we had those.
The second house me and my wife bought was on Greenway Place. About 5 houses down from right there.
Oh yeah.
So
you never know.
Crazy.
You never
Never
knew.
knew.
We never knew either. We're like,
So
what?
crazy.
So.
Yeah, and showing the path of it. It's cool stuff.
Well, we played baseball at Centenary, and we didn't realize. We always heard about the Centenary football stadium, and we didn't know really where it was. But these old pictures showed it sitting right there. So we played baseball in the Centenary football. Didn't even know it, and the streetcar tracks went right by there at the time. We didn't know any of that stuff.
cool.
So,
Wow. So, with all the research that you've done, I wonder, there's maybe a different path that Shreveport could have taken over time. Do you guys see maybe some of those turning points for the city? What
I
would that
think
have
in
been?
the 70s they started remodeling some of the buildings to try to make them more modern, and they covered up a lot of the buildings, a lot, or they tore them down. They want to make more modern, and stuff, but they lost a lot of, I think,
when they went into the modernization, I think they kind of went overboard on stuff.
Yeah.
Instead of just leaving like Hot Springs, they have their old beautiful buildings still there. And like in downtown Shreveport, it wasn't in the 70s, but I think it was the late 50s, there's the Elks building is downtown, and it turned in later to the old post office.
It's on the corner. Tell them where it is.
Yeah, it's on the corner of Mangham and I think it is
that Edwards?
Marshall, Mangham and Marshall, I believe it is. Oh no, I think it's Edwards. Anyway, the building's still there, but it's covered up. It's
They did some extensions on the side to give them more room, and when they did, they just blocked it all. But the pictures, and if you'll go to Twin Blends, go to Facebook and type in Twin Blends Elks building. It'll show the building that was underneath it. It's beautiful brick arched ways, there's windows and doors.
Peel that outer surface away.
And some of them you can. I think that, there's that one building for sale across, that row of bars at the foot of Texas Street Bridge, that the 600 block of Texas, maybe.
No, 100. The foot of the
100,
600, yeah.
So then across the street from where those bars are is one. It's just stucco, but it's just a wood frame stucco. You just rip it off as the original. I think that building might be for sale.
But there's a lot of history
and
down
those
there.
buildings are so big when you go in them.
Our friend Jason Cram, he bought the old Standard brand. It was built in 1900 as Sanger Drug Store, and it was at the corner of Louisiana and Mangham, and it ended up being, and there was a hotel above it, a drugstore. Well, then it changed into like Standard brand shoes in the 70s, 80s, 90s, or whatever. Well, now it's abandoned, but he bought the building, and he's going to bring it back. I'm not sure exactly his plans, but he's going to bring it back to what it looked like. I mean, the hotel's still there. You go in there, and there's still rooms up there, and they have a basement. And we've been digging in the. Jason bought the building. He said, did y'all know that building had a basement? The blueprint showed it had a basement. We're like, no, we've been through that building. I don't think there's a basement. He said, yeah, there is. So we went looking, and we found the basement. You open this door, and it goes way down into the darkness. Well, me and him, and me, Mike, and Jason Cram, and Tony Davis, and a couple other guys, we went down there and we brought our shovels and everything, and we started digging this because it's a wood, it's a dirt floor, and so
we're going to find the tunnel from the Strand to that.
Supposedly, there's this tunnel from there to the Strand, a block or so away, and so we got down there digging. We didn't find we haven't found the tunnel yet, but we found a bunch of stuff, just a bunch of cool stuff.
Old bottles, 2 gold rings,
a man's wedding ring, and then next week Mike found it. He's like, look at the ring I found. Then 2 feet over, the next week I found ladies' wedding band, and we're like,
trolley tickets. We found
movie theater tickets from all the old movie theater houses in town. They just congregated.
Left over from the mob.
Yeah.
So I had a friend who had bought a building on the 100 block right there.
Yeah.
On the south side of Texas, and he said, you got to check this out. And we went to the back, and there was a hole in the foundation. He had a piece of glass over it with an LED light, and about 20 feet down, you saw water.
Cistern. It was a cistern. We've heard that.
And he was saying, that's they would like bring the horses up to the back, and they would. And I was like, there's no way. It's
Yeah.
like literally like a running river underneath those buildings.
Spring
It's
Street.
crazy.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild? And I
Yeah.
was like, dude, there's no way.
And so that's what I always say to Mark, I say, when downtown Shreveport was built, they didn't have metal detectors and stuff like that. There's no telling what's underneath the ground downtown,
And then you get down to commerce. We used to do, in fact, my church at one point where we rented the supper club to hold our services.
Yeah.
In. And that's such a cool building.
It's beautiful.
With history
A lot
of
of
it.
history there, too. Yeah.
And people saying that that's where the illegal gambling used to happen upstairs and all this stuff. And so
There's a lot of, and like I say, when we grew up, we just drove, and we didn't go downtown a lot. If we graduated in 1980, if we would have driven downtown, we still had a chance to see a lot of these old buildings and stuff, but we weren't interested in it, so we lost that opportunity. Well, at least with the pictures, we could see that now. And now when we drive downtown, we say, well, there's a Phoenix Hotel, there's a Washington T, or we can see, we've seen it so much in these pictures, and we know that's where it was. It makes it, that's our goal for young people and older people, to show them this history. And we don't take ourselves seriously. So you can see our videos. We're just doing all superhero land and stuff. We try to make it fun, and show people the history in a fun way, because it's just fascinating. I think if more people knew the history, they'd be more interested and want to go downtown.
Well, we can see it in our posts and stuff. As we start off, more people are interacting, going, I never knew that. And then we have people tell us, I didn't know I loved history until I started seeing y'all stuff. That's the way
one of my favorite stories is that a lady contacted us at one time, and she said, I have tears in my eyes because my dad has Alzheimer's, how you say it, and we can't really connect with him, but when he sees the pictures that y'all put on Facebook, his eyes light up. He starts telling us about when his parents took him downtown, grandparents took him downtown shopping, all these stories. She said, you can't put a price on that. How did that not make your day, So and we've had several people tell us that,
So the architect I've used on some projects is Mike McSwain.
Mike, I know Mike. Yeah, he's a friend of ours.
Oh,
yeah, he's hilarious.
He's so funny and just such an eccentric guy for being here,
Yeah.
And he turned me on to the Wiener Brothers.
Yep.
And said, "Hey, man, you have got to check this out."
Yeah.
And so I got the book, and I'm showing my kids, and then one day I just took like a half day, and we were driving around looking at all the houses.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Most people don't even know about that.
You don't realize how much that he did in Shreveport. He did, if you look at these big chain cafeterias, Palais Royal and stuff, their family did so much in Shreveport.
Well, in the schools, I think Woodlawn High School might have been one of them. And so if you look, like I passed by, I had a business location by Werner Park Elementary, and after reading their book, I passed by and you start seeing, wow, that's a rounded brick wall. Like they put a lot of thought into that. The way that they position the windows at like Booker T and Woodlawn. And Bossier High School is close to where my office is now.
Yeah.
And I think you look at like their walk and the Art Deco or the modern kind of curvatures they do.
Yeah.
So good stuff.
They've done a lot of good.
So we love talking about food. We like to eat.
Well, we kind of do too. Dang it.
Okay, good. So let's do this. What's a restaurant or establishment, a food place that's not here anymore that you loved to go to? And then let's talk about one that's still here that you love to go to.
Ponchos?
Ponchos. You got big chain cafeteria.
I think my family shut down Ponchos.
Oh, yeah.
So,
we went through the line going, two.
That's it.
They raised that flag.
It's a true story. Like it was 12 and under ate free or 11 under. My mom brought my birth certificate, me and my brother, because they would he's not.
I can see that.
They're like, no, here you go.
Oh, that's great.
I think we put them out of business. So.
But we went there about every Friday night, I think, and so did half of Shreveport, because when we posted, they're like, oh, we went to. So we were around all these people, but Ponchos would be one that we missed.
Yeah.
And then I know El Chico's is still there. The last one's still there on Burt Coons, but South Park Mall, Greenwood Road, all that. So
we miss those places. As far as the ones today, we have a lot. We like the Glass Hat Cafe. We like the Sky Grill downtown. Fertitas. I mean, and
forget about Fertitas still being open.
See, we love. Agatha's so sweet.
It's just off the path.
Yeah,
Every time we would go by there, it was closed. It's closed. Like when we're working, it's hard for us to get down there during the day. But now that we're retired, we're like one day, let's go for Tita's.
Same thing with Herbie Case's. It's just not in the line. You don't think
about it. Yeah. And see what we love going, and not only we like to eat, but we like to go and visit, and we like to promote businesses. Like when we go, we'll make a post, and we'll just, because the people are so awesome, and we want to promote their business as much as we can.
So do y'all remember the Village Grill?
I've heard of it, but I don't remember.
Okay. It was over on Louisiana, right next to the original Mangiuni's.
Oh, okay,
Well, it shut down some years ago, and David Alvis has rebuilt it next to his Uri location. It's pretty wild.
Oh, wow.
So,
we got to check that out.
Yeah. He gave me a tour, and I took a video of it the other day. It's
that's cool. Yeah, we'll definitely have to check that out.
Yeah, like I say, we like to promote area businesses and stuff like that, mom and pops. People who's put, Fertitas, they've been there since what?
Like 1927 or something.
And it's just, we love to promote that because these families have done so much for this area, and
we need to go.
Yeah.
Tell them Twin Blend sent you, but it won't get no discount. It may get kicked out.
I just remark at the vibrancy of some of the things that I see on your page. Like when you see downtown so vibrant, it's striking.
It is.
My brain can't even imagine what that would have been like.
And see, because we worked, and we'd go downtown on Saturdays, it was like, man, nobody's down here. And then when you see the pictures of thousands and thousands of people just lining the streets, it gets us excited because that's why we have a connection, because we feel like, okay, these people are the ones that made our city the way it is. They're the ones that built this city. We need to honor these people.
And we feel like they're being forgotten, because you don't hear about any of that anymore, the Selbers and the Rubensteins and stuff. So, we like to shine the light on those people because, for years it was so vibrant. People got up every day and went to work, and they sacrificed so much.
Shopped,
and they did so much, and we're like, we got to promote these people.
Well, it's more of a community too downtown. The people, you can just see them shopping in all walks of life. They were just there together, shopping.
And and we go, now that we're retired, it's really busy downtown. We didn't realize how busy it is during the day because we're out working, but we go on Saturdays, not busy, but it's very busy downtown. And you see a lot of negative Facebook pages. They're all about negative crime, this and that. But, we go downtown. Of course, we're not there at 2, 3 in the morning, but, we go downtown during the day. We've never had a problem, never had a problem.
Good people down
We've
there.
met so many people downtown.
Me and my wife like some restaurants there. We'll go. I mean,
Noble Savage.
We're usually in bed by 9 o'clock, so it's not super late. But we are there, and it gets dark, and we walk down. And
Blind Tiger. There's just a ton of places, right?
Yeah, we love it down there.
We've been to Noble Savage, at night and stuff, and walk here and there.
Well, another thing is when we're downtown, I don't know what it is, but we love downtown. Walking
we feel
downtown.
A connection,
we do. We really do. Just love being down there.
Yeah.
So one of the businesses I started in was located right on Hearn Avenue, right across the street from Warner Park. And I just forgot how that used to be one of the main streets, and it's so easily to access everywhere right from Hearn Avenue.
We traveled it a lot coming from Southern Hills.
Oh yeah. And then I grew up going to Hearst Coliseum. I went to all my concerts there. The first Sunday night church service I ever missed. I was 15 years old, and I said, "Dad, wrestling's coming to town," and it says Sunday night, and he said, "Well, I'm not going to tell you yes or no. You're an adult. You can make your own decision." So I went.
You went. What's the first music concert you went?
So my very first concert was Brooks and Dunn. I was in the 8th grade at Hearst Coliseum. The Boot Scoot and Boogie tour. And my grandma actually took me. My grandpa was the mayor of Oil City.
Oh wow!
John Charles Dickey, and then his he passed away before this happened. But then my grandmother, she was just it's funny because we were leaving the concert, and she was not pleased with the traffic. So she pulled over her white Cadillac and left me and my brother in the back seat, and she got out there and started directing.
Oh, wow.
There was nobody directing traffic on where to go.
Oh, my gosh.
That's awesome.
So, that was it.
That's cool.
Brooks and Dunn. Yeah. Have y'all been to some concerts there?
Oh, yeah. Well, back in the 80s.
Our first one was Loverboy.
Van Halen.
ZZ Top.
Sticks. Yeah.
Wow.
80s music.
Isn't that crazy?
That's how old we are.
Yeah.
Love it.
Amazing. Man, it is just so interesting to think of Shreveport as a different place.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure that the Shreveport that you grew up in felt different.
It
How,
did.
how do you compare it today?
Okay, well, I'll tell you this. We grew up in Southern Hills and Summer Grove, and it was like Mayberry. That's exactly it.
You probably experienced a little bit of it
Yeah.
too. So
Yeah.
you can, your parents. We had a lot of woods where we lived off of Linwood. At that time, there was no Burt Coons. We would be gone from daylight till dark, and nobody worried. You could just go and do, and you didn't have to worry about
It
your
was-
kids. And
it was totally
it's sad
different.
that they don't have that.
It's a
these
totally
days.
different day and age, and like I say, you had kids riding their bicycles, and this was before cell phones and internet and stuff like that.
Video
People were
games.
outdoors and enjoying lightning bugs flying around.
Yeah.
The yard. It was just different back then.
Yeah. Well, I remember. Yeah. So we lived on Hollyhock for a while, and my mom would just be like, "Hey, here's some money. Go to the Lion King."
Yeah.
Right. There was a Lion King over there, and I'm like, man, that was a long. It's a big
Yeah.
intersection and a
Yeah.
long ways for her to let
You
us go
talking about
as
Food
kids.
King, the Food King,
the
yeah,
Food
yeah,
King.
Food King,
Food
right?
King.
Yeah, Food King.
And there used to be now it's an AT&T store, but it was a Burger King or
Yeah,
something.
it was
or,
Jack in the Box.
Jack in the
Jack
Box.
in the Box.
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah.
We went to Southern Hills, so that we would walk from Kinney Road down through the cemetery, across the bayou, Brushy Bayou, and go to Southern Hills and stuff, all that area. So and rode our motorcycles all through there. So the Blom Farm, there was a. I guess right
Blom
there,
Dairy Farm.
the Blom Dairy Farm there too.
Right, where you're talking about, where Food
yeah, that
King
was
was.
Blom Dairy. There was they had the Blom family, and they owned all that property with Southern Hills Park and all that. That was all their dairy farm.
BLAUM.
Oh, BL, like Blom Boulevard.
Okay,
Blom, that's
okay,
where they get the
gotcha.
Blom name. Yeah.
Wow.
There's so much, fascinating history.
Yeah,
So.
and then even I still go to concerts at Municipal Auditorium.
Yeah.
I remember Jack White. So the Centenary Gold Dome. What's that structure called? What do they call that? Whenever it's
the Gold Dome.
What do they call that structure? That there's no rafters for the.
We went there, but we had no idea.
Whatever they call that.
okay.
So apparently Jack White, he's a music
Architecture
artist, but he loves that particular thing.
Yeah.
So whenever his tour bus came, he said, "Take me to the Gold Dome. I've been hearing about it. I want to see it."
Yeah.
And so that's where he went. And him and his brother apparently owned a bunch of those type of houses and structures.
yeah.
around. So then he starts the Jack White show, and before he even starts, he's like, he said, "Do not let them get rid of this place." That's what he said. It's like the history here. Don't let them get rid of this place.
Because they will.
So,
Shreveport will. They'll find a way.
Yeah. The Strand. I was at the Strand in December. Went and saw the piano guy, whatever, Ben Folds.
Billy Joel.
Ben Folds.
The Strand is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
And that's what we feel so detached from, I think, today, living in this town, is that the connection between the Strand. Like, what would it have been like for them to build that? Like, what was that like, do you think?
We have photos of them building it. It's just amazing. You see all the bricks lined up on the street, the Model Ts in front, and it was probably a big deal. I mean,
Well, before the Strand, you had the Grand Opera House, and it was a huge opera house on Texas Street, and it was just
what's that
beautiful.
building there now? Is that the Chase?
It's a Chase Bank.
Chase Bank, big tall brown. Yeah, that was a Grand Opera House.
And then
man.
whenever it was getting old, and so they wanted the Sagner brothers to come in, and then they built the Strand Theater. That was the next thing. Instead of redoing the Grand Opera House, they built the Strand Theater. So.
Would that have been the same, like the New Orleans, they have the Sanger Theater?
Yeah,
Is
it's the
there
same
any
brother.
connections?
Well, the Sagner brothers in Shreveport started in Shreveport as a drugstore, the building that we're talking about that we're digging under. And they started the drugstore, and then they went into the movie house business. They started here in Shreveport, and then they went to New Orleans and all over different places. So they started in Shreveport.
Yeah, because I've seen a show at Sanger in New Orleans, and it
Beautiful.
Yeah,
awesome.
and they got it's just the Sanger, the Capri that's there now. That used to be the Sanger movie theater.
Yeah.
and it was. I mean, it was beautiful. The old pictures of it, and I guess they remodeled it, and it kind of looks like what it does now, which is still pretty. But man, you do Twin Blitz, search on Facebook, Twin Blitz
Sanger
Theater, SAEGNER,
SAENGER.
Yeah.
Sagner.
I think you spelled it wrong. Anyway, you find those and you'll see the beautiful. It was a beautiful, like half dome structure. It was really beautiful. So
Yeah. Amazing.
What do you have any nostalgic memories of being in Shreveport? Or y'all stay out in
We didn't, because I'd lived so far away. On the weekends, we would go to South Park Mall. That was a big deal. Eventually, South Park kind of moved over to St. Vincent, and every once in a while we'd go to Pierre Bossier, because that, it would shuffle a little bit.
Yeah.
But the South Shreveport area, when I think about, Putt Putt was just phenomenal.
Love it.
Just that Mansfield Road area.
I could rig that go-kart to make it go a little bit.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah. You just have to take that little
That's the
governor's
governor.
ring.
Yeah. We'd always watch and see which one's the fastest, and then pick that. No, I'm getting
We
that.
fight over who's going to get it.
Well, and something that we don't see there, I don't think anymore, was the AT&T Fields.
They're gone.
My kids play there. Yeah,
right.
My son played.
Right, that was a
there years ago.
big
It was.
deal.
Everybody went there. Yeah. Nowadays have Dixie Ballpark. It's right around the corner, but it's not the same feel.
That's right.
Yeah.
Man, that was such a...
And it had Western Electric. AT&T was there. That business was there. All that's gone now.
Yeah,
Right.
the building's still there, but they use it for something else.
Yeah.
But
Right. Well, there's a little bit of rejuvenation going on in that.
Yes.
In that
yeah,
part of town.
they've got all those
Chipotle and
I'm excited about
Yeah,
that.
Panda Express. When I saw them building that, I'm like, hey, I can't wait till they give my money. So,
Yeah.
What as far as it's got to be a kind of a wild ride for you guys to have so many people follow you. And
Yeah, it's shocking. It's shocking. I mean, we started probably 9 years ago, and we said we don't know if anybody's going to be interested in this, but we are, so we're going to put it out there. And so we had our following kind of started, and then all of a sudden it just started. Last couple of years, it's just kind of exploded, and it's just. I mean, right now we have close to 29,000 followers, and it just blows us away because when we go places, people are like, they just stop us. Oh man, I love your work and stuff. We're like,
when we were doing the streetcar tracks out there, we were looking in the film, and then people were like, Twin Blends.
Yeah,
Like,
they were driving by Hollywood. Twin Blends. We're like, man, everywhere we go, it's really it's humbling because it's so nice to have such an impact on the city in a positive way because there's so much negative, and we're like, we know we're going to be the positive. We're just going to promote Shreveport in a positive light.
Yeah.
So.
I think ultimately it shows what an incredible appetite there is for what you're doing.
It is.
And that would not have been known by most folks. I wouldn't have guessed that, there's such an appetite out there. But in the vein of what we do in this podcast is we are trying to shine a light on people who are trying to do something here and make this place
good. And there's we've met a lot of good people that are doing that too. They're like, we're going to focus on making Shreveport get back to where it was. And all this negativity. We feel like whenever people call Shreveport Ratchet City or they talk about, just over and over talk about the crime, we kind of take it personal because we're like, it's almost like you're talking about a family member. It is really, because we think about all the, the people, our parents, our grandparents, great grandparents going back who built this city, and you're kind of trashing, what they built, and so we're like, no, I mean, there's crime like there is anywhere else, but we want to show the positive things because we're standing on their shoulders and they sacrificed so much. And if you look back at these pictures, you really can see how much they've sacrificed and how much they've built, and how far we've come. So,
and to your statement again, you said that people don't realize that they like history. They don't know. I had a friend of mine message me, and he said, y'all show us what we didn't know we wanted to see.
Yes.
And he's like, he didn't realize once we start showing history, and it was like us, it just gives you an appetite for more. You're like, wow,
Because when we started, like I say, we just like looking at old pictures. And then the more we got into it, the more it's like a passion for us, And I'm sure some people are like, those two guys, they're 62-year-old twins. They, they get excited about old buildings down in Shreveport,
But it's not really as much the building as it's the people.
The people,
we like
the history.
And we like connecting other people. Like when we make a post, people will say, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in years. I remember going there with this place with you and this and that. And
I worked for your dad and have all these memories. And then we show pictures. One of our favorite things, we show these pictures of all these people. They're like, oh my gosh, that's my grandmother. I have never seen that picture before. Wow. They said, well, they're sending it to all their family members. And it just makes their day because they see, it'd be like you seeing your grandparent you never seen a picture of, and they're like they're downtown shopping or something. It's just, you can't put a price on it.
Well, a lot of the ways you're preserving this, right? Because you're talking about people that are in their 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
If y'all weren't doing what you're doing, these stories wouldn't come out before they passed away.
Yeah, wouldn't get it.
Is there someone, because what you are doing is going through a lot of archives. Is there one or two people you can think of that was like, this is on the shoulders of their work?
Oh, yeah.
Like
Thurman C. Smith.
Well, Eric Brock, the late Eric Brock, a historian.
Yeah.
I mean, and you got Gary Joyner, Cheryl White.
They're here now.
Yeah. But they're the ones that we're kind of on their shoulders. And actually, we like to shine a spotlight on them because if it wasn't for us, there wouldn't, it wouldn't be no Twin Blends.
Yeah.
And, you got Goodlow Stuck. You have all these old historians in the past.
Before the internet was even
Before the internet.
I mean, we talk about Eric Brock. I mean, the stuff he did, and he didn't have the internet. He just had to go physically probably look through microfilm and stuff and talk to people. And now, we kind of have it easy because we can go to the library and look at all the pictures that's filed in the back room and stuff, and we can go online to newspapers.com and find out in newspapers.
Plus, type in Eric Brock, whatever we want to look for, and he's got an article on it.
Yeah, and we made posts honoring him, and his widow contacted us, and she was like very, very grateful that we're keeping his memory alive, and so.
Yeah.
Is there an area of town that y'all just haven't been able to get to, or like a building?
No, not really.
Now, people contact us and they'll ask us certain, like random parts of the city that maybe hadn't been photographed a lot. We're like, well, we haven't found, but we put it on our board, and if we find anything, we'd be sure to let them know, write their name down.
But we have aerials. Thurman C. Smith did a lot of aerials of all over the city. So if nothing else, we have
we have an aerial.
Yeah.
So
I don't know how far out you go, but I think the Mansfield Female College would be an interesting, because they've redone it a little bit, but that's amazing history to think of a female college in Mansfield, Louisiana, back in what was the 1800s or whatever. So wild stuff there. But what I do want to say is it's so important what you're doing. And I want to thank you for it because, as I'm talking to you, I'm realizing, our trajectory, we're looking backwards now. But our trajectory going forwards really depends on a handful of things. And those things are people like you and me taking pride in our city.
That's it.
And believing that we can be something.
That's right.
And so what you're doing is so valuable to people. When you see the vibrancy of those photos going forward, there's not going to be some savior to come in and save us, right? Like the big company or whatever.
Right.
It's going to take
50 cents.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. TBD, right?
Yeah.
Jury's out on that.
We'll see.
But ultimately, it's going to be a group of people
all of
coming
us.
together.
That's right.
And so that's what's so powerful about what you're doing is remind us of what was. And then to say, hey, we can.
And it's contagious. It's contagious. When we see people out there like Cheryl, Dr. Cheryl White, Ernie Robinson, Gary Joyner, they inspire us. We see what they do and we inspire us, and we're on their shoulders. We're like, wow. So it is contagious when you see that. And like I say, you hear so many negative stories, but then we run across all these people with positive, outlook, and like we want to be in that group.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Have y'all, the building, so Will Broyles is doing the Louisiana Grandstand.
Yes. We were there just the other day. We did a podcast interview. So.
Yeah. So we go to the concerts there. I'm going to one there next Saturday. But it's cool what he's doing with that space. Just bringing that in. And,
that's another one that's helping revitalize and bring it, bring the attention back downtown around that area. So.
Have did your band play at any historical places here?
We played the Strand. Which was incredible. I loved it.
Do you have to say the name of your band?
Our band was called Tyler Reed, so we were like early 2000s, mid 2000s kind of thing.
I got you.
So we played the Strand. We did play the Municipal. The Municipal was phenomenal. So those would have been two of the older. And so we played in, you guys will probably know this place. It was called Soundstage 516 when I was there. But it's on Texas Street.
Across from the courthouse.
It's like it was the Hayride Diner or something. And so it was just, it looked like a little commercial.
Like an all ages venue type thing.
Right. But we played a ton of shows there, a lot of shows there. And it was interesting because, it's just kind of it looks like a commercial storefront, but back behind it, there was an elevator and all this stuff back there.
I think that's the Woolworth building, isn't it? It's straight across from the courthouse.
Yeah, it might be. But we spent a lot of time in that building. So those would have been the big ones. So that was fun.
That's awesome.
Cool. Anything else? I'm excited to see what's next.
Yeah.
And maybe next year y'all can come back and update us.
I'd love to. Yeah.
That sounds good.
Awesome. Is there any other big stuff besides the one you let slip about?
I can't believe he let that slip. But anyway.
Well, there's actually something we're doing right now that's pretty cool, but we can't say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we've had other businesses. As a matter of fact, the business called us yesterday in its preliminary stages, but we have about 4 businesses now that's hired us to collaborate with them and find old photos and old newspaper clippings and their businesses and stuff like that.
You've actually turned your hobby now into making something.
It is, and we do speaking engagements. We get paid that, and like the Shreveport Memorial Library, they hired us to do speaking engagements last year. About 15 other libraries around town, and we've done some this year. We do nursing homes and stuff like that.
Well, what's cool is also we have Artport coming up, and they have that show at the airport. We're part of that.
Yeah.
We're excited.
We've been chosen as part. I think they.
Last time I flew out of there, I saw Mike McSwain's.
Mike. And I've always flown through there thinking, man, how can we get our blends out here? Well, then they had a thing on Facebook that said, calling all artists, submit your stuff. And so I think they chose like 80 artists, and they chose us to be a part of it, which we were very honored. So we're going to have a blend in the airport.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that. Is there like a museum or anything that would give you put some of your stuff in?
Yep. Well, actually, if you ever been in the courthouse lately, downtown courthouse, they've commissioned us the last couple of years. So the first time we found like 42 of some of the best old photos that we found, and they commissioned us and they hung them in the courthouse. And then last year they came to us again and wanted like 42 more. And then we have like 4 blends, and they have a Shreveport Then and Now video playing on a big screen TV in the records room, marriage license room. It just plays over and over. And we tell those ladies, I bet you get tired of seeing that. And they're like, no, man, people come in here just to sit there and watch that. So there's like 84 old pictures. They have a wall. They had a blank wall. They said, what can we put here? We said, you got to put your drive-in movies here, all the drive-in theaters.
Oh, that's cool.
And so we got them pictures of all that. They have restaurants here and this and that, pictures. So yeah,
and they want some more too.
It's like downtown. That's like ground zero for history and plus all these pictures.
So if there's anybody with a unique story that y'all might not have hit on that you might be interested in, or pictures, or they're going through family videos and archives.
Messages.
Like my kids love watching old family videos. So like pulling out the videos or pictures, just Facebook is the best.
Messages on Facebook, and we've had people do that. Like the other day, they messaged us with old pictures of their family downtown and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we tell them, send us an interesting story, behind it, so we could just put that to our page.
Because it's really the stories, right?
It's the stories.
It's the people and the
we
stories.
like the pictures.
Now, like somebody said, not a picture of Aunt Betty in front of the Christmas tree or something, but if you have a story of them downtown that you think that everybody would be interested in, this has a little bit of history involved, that would be cool, So people love that.
That's awesome.
Amazing stuff.
Thank
Twin
you guys
blends.
for coming in.
Yeah. Thank you for asking.
Glad you're retired now, so you can come.
So are we.
We're retired.
So are we. We highly recommend it.
There you go.
Perk of being old.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Appreciate that. Thank y'all.
That's great.
All right.